Just a cool little shooting range with dummies where you can try all the weapons. But it's really hard for me to find something positive to say about MGS5, honestly. But MGS4, you got the technical aspect and the gun porn, the gun details. Especially for those people who I don't really understand where that might come from, but there's people out there who think that MGS5 has better gunplay and gun mechanics than MGS4. And I am completely appalled by that opinion. But I think we have everything here, so let's just go through some unique things. I mean, for one thing, you get all the stats and all the different behaviors of each caliber and each weapon that MGS5 doesn't really do. In MGS5, the main thing that matters is damage. As long as it does enough damage, you could shoot somebody. Say you have a grade 10 little tiny pistol, but it's a grade 10, and you shoot somebody in the toe with it, or you shoot Silanthropus in the toe with it, and they die, it just blows up. Meanwhile, MGS4, it really started with 3, but 4 and Peace Walker refined this. It matters what kind of round you use with the amount of penetration and recoil and shock, whatever they call it here. Like, for example, actually we don't have any enemies with helmets here, but on higher difficulties you want something with high penetration, like a 5.7 round to go through helmets. And the same 5.7 round, if you shoot somebody like in the limb or something, it's a tiny, fast-moving bullet, so it doesn't have as much impact. Commonly referred to as stopping power, which is a myth, but whatever. Let's not go there. I'm just talking strictly gameplay mechanics here. The game makes a distinction between fast-moving, small caliber bullets and big fat 45 or big rifle rounds behaving differently, in which an armored helmet will require a fast moving small caliber bullet to go through, but that same small caliber bullet won't be as effective if you just hit a non-vital area. And then you got the opposite with a bigger bullet not having as much penetration but having more impact on non-vital area, and so on. Like if you shoot somebody in the leg in Peace Walker, they always go down with a 45. They don't always go down with a rifle. Now, if you want to discuss the realism of that, of course there's a million other factors involved in real life that doesn't tell you all the time how things will go, but the fact that they at least made a distinction in how the calibers behave on paper in game and translated that into gameplay is an effort. And it's a nice detail to have, and I really didn't come to appreciate just how many little things there are in MGS4. I want to take a look at the MAC-10 until the abysmal dumpster fire of Franken weapons and shitty, useless stats and fake calibers and just inaccuracies in MGS5. Even Peace Walker has it, fuck's sake, a PSP game. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at a few unique weapons that have something weird to them. They're not just your point and shoot thing. Let's see, I'm just gonna take all of these. Where is the... There it is. Something else to take a look at. Okay, so for example, all of these have quirks to them that are unique. You're not gonna find this in MGS5. Let's take a look at the good old 50 caliber, right? Because it has big bullets, easy to notice. So Snake seems to do what Ocelot always does in MGS3 when he has the Makarov, at least. Always, whenever you reload, Snake always cycles the action just to make sure there's something in the chamber. So I picked the 50 caliber because they're big rounds. So when you shoot them, you can look at the brass and see that the actual bullet is gone. It's just the brass cartridge is there, and there's no bullet. However, when you reload and Snake manually ejects a round, let's find that brass case now. The bullet is still there because Snake just manually ejected it. And it's easy to notice with the 50 cal because it's fucking huge, but every gun does this. So that's one thing. I don't even think you can see the fucking brass on the ground in MGS5. So let alone that detail, whether the bullet is there or not. Anyway, another something, of course, is... This is something I found out recently, actually. Open bolt machine guns or submachine guns. It's a little hard to get the camera angle, but you can actually see that the bolt, not only the bolt's open, but you can see the little 45 round sitting there. Let's see if we can, I don't know. So whenever we fire, the bolt moves, the charging handle moves. And reloading. And you don't need to do anything unless you're out. And the bolt locks when it's empty. And then open and repeat. You can see, it's a little hard to see, but hopefully you guys can make out the little bullet of the entire cartridge in there. You can see it through the bolt. I was looking at the Scorpion MGS3 and it also has a moving bolt that stays back, even in MGS3. So that's something. Back hurts, old man. So MGS4 has that detail. The AN94 has, of course, its unique, insanely fast rate of fire, 2-round burst, which is a whole perk about the gun. And it has this sort of recoiling barrel in itself that goes back into the receiver a little bit when you fire like that, and we can see it. So in real life, this thing exists because those 2 rounds are fired so fast that the second round exits the barrel before the recoil hits the shooter, meaning that your accuracy isn't affected. You can see the front of the barrel there going back and forth. Also, the magazine is slightly canted to the side to accommodate for that 2-round burst. So it's not a regular just point and shoot assault rifle. The PKM, Snake grabs and holds differently because that's where you're supposed to put your hand, in the back of the stock, because there is no handguard. That entire section in front gets hot as shit, so you don't put your hand there, you don't hold it like a rifle. And so Snake puts his hand in the back. Okay, got the yell too. The stripper fed Type 17, well, it's just a Chinese copy of the Mauser C96, as you know, but this, since you've reload by feeding stripper clips into it, you cannot do a tactical reload. So that's the reload, but if it's only partially empty, and I can't really show you this, but you're gonna have to trust me. I'm trying to reload. I'm pressing circle. The game just doesn't do anything. You can't reload until the last round is out, and it locks back and everything. So holy shit, it goes on and on. Of course, well, there's a Glock 18C with a compensator on top. Pretty sure we can see that. If you want to cosplay as Fat Man, I guess. Fat Man has this. Although I think Fat Man is running like 20 something, maybe 24, 21 rounds magazines. Not the classic 33. What's the compensator? Okay, I'll show you. So the top of the slide has this opening, and the barrel itself has these cuts in it. That's what the compensator part is. There's also compensators that you screw on the muzzle, but this is integrated, which is why it's called the Glock 18C. And what this does essentially is when you fire, the pressure of the gases coming out from that cut pushes the gun down, so it helps stabilize the gun in full auto. It's still gonna kick like a mule, but it helps a little tiny bit. And that's also a thing. Also the switch, the fun switch on Glock. The Glock 18 is just a Glock 17 with a fun switch. Let's see what else we have. Oh, the 5.7. Things like the 5.7, the P90, and also the... Where the hell is it? The MP7, which I don't even have unlocked, but whatever, it doesn't matter. These are small, fast-moving, small caliber rounds that have a lot of penetration. So these will go through helmets, like for the frogs and certain other enemies on higher difficulties. They have helmets, and they do not go down in one hit for other calibers. Oh. This thing has a very weird magazine. You'd say the Bison, but it's like the Bison or something. It's an SMG sort of thing with AK conversion, 9mm. 9x18 actually. So 9mm Makarov. Notice how this game it only has one actual 9x19 gun, which is the Glock. And this is actually 9x18, which is the same caliber as the Makarov, the PMM and all that stuff. It's the Soviet, essentially. It was the Soviet around, not Russian, I guess. And that's another thing that MGS4 doesn't make a distinction between the 9x18 and the 9x19. But the unique thing about this is the magazine. All these things that I'm talking about are mostly mentioned helical magazine. So that's another unique thing that has a whole lot of capacity going on for it because of that. And then the reload is weird as well because it's that sort of magazine. Let's see what else we have. Obviously you got the Mark 23 and all of its glory and quirks. You can't use the infrared thing, but they don't have markings, but they do have the designs. And just like the one in MGS2, which is actually, you can even see the accurate details on it in MGS1 VR missions. This is actually kind of a combination of different stages of there's 3 prototypes of the Mark 23, and the one in MGS2, MGS1, and here is sort of a combination of 2 kinds, especially with the suppressor equipped. So actually getting the exact configuration that you see in the game in real life is insanely expensive and nearly impossible. But you can get close enough with just a civilian one, so who cares? They even have 9x23, which is in the race gun. Race gun heavily modified for use in combat conditions. This gun really fucking confused me when I first played this game. Like, what is a race gun? So basically, competition guns are tuned so that, well, depending on what you're doing, but most likely things like USPSA and IPSC, whatever, that caliber actually matters because you need to have a certain, you want your, what's called a power factor, which is basically how much does the gun kick in relation to your bullet grain and velocity. The harder gun kicks, the better your scores are assigned, because it's technically harder to aim a gun like that. So some people want to hit that threshold with 9mm, and you can't really do it with such a small case such as 9x19. So 9x23 actually exists because it's a taller case that fits more powder, and you can reach those power factors. So they even got this in the game, the 9x23 thing. Oh, this integral suppressed thing, yeah, kind of peculiar also. I think this is actually what Olga is supposed to be holding in MGS2 before she switches to the USB. That's the first gun she has. Yeah, it is modified. It's called a 2011. The double stack 1911s, the modern ones, they're called 2011s. That's another thing. You got all the probably crazy light crisp trigger pull and the extended the flare magwell, all those things. It's kind of interesting that they put a competition gun, even the competition sights that are adjustable. I've done a tiny little bit of competition myself at the local level, and I'm familiar with the rules and all the shit that people do. It gets insanely crazy. Let's see. Obviously, the Sport M4 has been thoroughly violated in every hole, but you have all the little things you can put on it, and these are all real life accessories. I know this because I built this gun in real life. I've done a stream of it, and somewhere there on YouTube, I'm sure FIFA saved it. So, in case you don't know, building an AR-15 is a lot like building a computer, in which you pick parts that you need to know the compatibility about. But once you're sure that they're compatible, you can pick things from different brands, different tiers, different materials, different purposes, and you put it together in whichever budget you want and whichever combination you want. There's a few rules that you got to follow with compatibility, of course, but once you do that, you have a lot of power over the final product. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to build an AR-15. It's going to be a clone of the MGS4 M4, minus the full auto, of course, because we don't get a fun switch in real life without some complications. So this is actually kind of interesting. Kojima put together, or whoever did the research for him, they actually put together a bunch of different brands of things, and I had to do some research. And you can put it all together and be more or less accurate with it. And even the accessories are real life things. Like this dot sight is obviously an aim point. And there's a whole bunch of aim point models, the older ones look very similar, pretty much the same. There's no markings on it, so you can't tell exactly, but... Or, for example, the forward grip. That's a Knight's Armament grip. Knight's Armament seems to be one of the recurring high-tier brands for things. They also made the suppressor for the USB and the Mark 23. Anyway, so say for example you take a 308 rifle, or 762 NATO, whatever, versus a 5.56, and it's probably not going to be obvious here because it's not like the online, but the ballistics and the recoil of the 308 are a lot different, in which, for example, if you play MGO and you have this gun online and you headshot somebody from long distance, they will die. I think in single player you just die all the same. Yeah. But it's one of the silly, not so realistic things, but in terms of gameplay, it balances out, because what reason would you possibly have to use a heavier, more recoil, less capacity rifle otherwise? This actually kills people across pretty much the entire range that you can hit at. Meanwhile, 5.56 will not usually, unless they're pretty close, kill people. Keep in mind that I'm talking about gameplay mechanics, more specifically about online play for this game. Of course, in real life, again, there's a million other factors that will influence this, so let's not take that as a real life ballistics lesson. But again, gameplay wise, a difference is there, and it's nice. Let's see. Yeah, we could go on for a while here, but you get the idea. I mean, they have... Oh yeah, this you can sort of guide and move around after you fire it. With the right stick, make a spiral. Hey. It's not quite in Nikita, but that's how it is. You can move it around. Hold on. Let's do something stupid. Oops. Directly down, directly in front of me. Get those guys. Nice. I think there's like a ceiling or something. Well, your first mistake is assuming that there's an MP5. Oh, sorry. I thought you said an MGS4. No. Oh, do we want to see if they have the HK slap? Well, we can try it with the G3. Does Snake do the HK slap? Kind of. I mean, not exactly. A little bit. He kind of turns it down, but yeah. Another thing, actually, that's weird, I noticed earlier. Oh, we do have an MP5, that's right. Let's try that. Yeah. This is actually the exact same one that's in MGS1. Integral. If you play them very easy, you get integrally suppressed infinite ammo MP5 to make your life easier from the very beginning. It's unique to MGS1 Integral. It's called the HK slap, yes, because HKs have that. But again, you can see how the charging handle is at a different location. Speaking of charging handles, I was noticing actually during today's playthrough that Snake doesn't use the bolt release. He always cycles the charging handle. Why would you do that? Oh well. Yeah, then bolt release completely. I guess we would have to empty, right? For that to be a thing. But still, charging handle. Let's see if the bolt opens. It should. Locks open. Yes, there you go. You can do that. You can operate the charging handle, but it's not as quick or comfortable. It doesn't seem like there's actual ammo in the magazines, though, if you look carefully. Which is weird, because they have that for other weapons, but they're smart about it. I guess they only did it for the open bolt guns. Alright. Also, when you put on a red dot on the rifle with flip up sights, look at the sights. and it's the front side as well. Ah. But we have to move. So this sight actually flips down when you have optics. His stance changes? What? Oh man. I don't know. All I know is it's weird that this thing has a 3-shot burst and full auto. It is an M4 custom, to be fair. They call it custom, but the M4 has 3-shot burst and the M4A1 has a full burst, full auto. Meanwhile, we get both here. Whatever. And there's no safe. There is no safe position. Snake doesn't need a safety. I don't know about the stance thing, but maybe. Now, you cannot adjust the sights. You never need to adjust sights in video games. Come on. They're always dead on at any range. Why is the M4 muzzle pokey? Because that's not a standard A1 cage. That's actually, since I built that very rifle, I can tell you, that is a Troy medieval flash hider. Or, it's actually a funny story because Snake refers to it as a flash hider. Why do I keep getting the Mark 23? Holy shit. But by the size of the opening, that's most likely a muzzle brake. It might just be an oversight. There's also another oversight in this rifle in which it has an end plate. See that little circular cap thing at the end of the handguard? This handguard is supposed to be free floating, which means it's not touching the barrel. The second you put that cap there in between the handguard and the barrel, it's not free floated anymore. So they kind of fucked that up. It's not actually free floated. So it's kind of funny because Snake says in the cutscene, is the hider CQC compatible? But then you look at it, and it's kind of hard to make out the proportions in a video game, but basically how you can tell muzzle brake from a flash hider, especially this one, it's, like you said, pokey at the end. Basically the opening. Is the opening just barely enough to let the bullet through? Roughly the bore diameter of the bullet. Then it's a muzzle brake. If it's much wider than that, it's a flash hider. For mine, I got the flash hider because muzzle brakes are bad news shooting at indoor ranges and directing the blast to the side. And supposedly you get a little more recoil with a flash hider because the muzzle brake is louder and redirects the gases to the side, but it's supposedly reduces recoil. But on a 223, whatever, man. I'd rather have the flash hider and not slap people in the face with it every time you fire. Now, it still gets hot. I can assure you, Dr. Gray, it still gets hot. Free floating is mainly so you can, for example, do... you can prop it against things without pressing on the barrel, or you can use a sling to tighten the sling against your body for increased stability without warping the barrel. I guess the gap should kind of maybe help with heating, but it doesn't really. Especially since Snake likes to run it with absolutely no rail covers. I bought this handguard. By the way, it's not worth it. It's extremely expensive, but I want it for what it is and what it gives you. It's a Knight's Armament RAS, a rail adaptive system, one of the older models, so they're hard to find too. And it comes with 3 rail covers that you can put. But yeah, shit gets hot. You have the foregrip at least, I guess. But anyway, I hope that's enough. Every time somebody tells you that MGS4 has good gun mechanics and gun details, please make a link to this VOD or something. It's gonna get deleted. Make a highlight. I don't know. Holy shit, man. It's embarrassing. Oh, there's one more. This grenade launcher thing. Yeah, those holes are open. It's just rendered in with limitations. Those are actual holes, yes. There's one more. This grenade launcher, you can set the distance at which grenades detonate with the D-pad when you look first person. The minimum being 5. So this thing will explode in my face in mid-air. And we can increase it a little bit, and it goes a little further, and then some more. And then it tells you what range the target is at. Like this guy is at 20 POSs. Maybe it's yards. I don't know. What does POS stand for? Anyway, if you do like 30, then it's gonna go past him. If we do maybe 15 or 14, he's gonna survive that. Nope. The explosion is still too big. Radius, but you get the idea. You can make him detonate wherever. Which is kind of cool if you want to get things behind cover and whatnot. Or it's extremely useful for birds, like if you want to kill the ravens and Shadow Moses or something. Oh, there are meters. Yeah, that's right. So maybe, I don't know, it's kind of, let's see, that guy's 25 meters, so, but it's only 20 whatevers. I can't really tell. Oh, maybe, no, maybe it is. Yeah, roughly 25. Find me any of these gun details in MGS5, please. I could go on forever. This game has 70 guns. I will go over 70 guns. Twin barrel. You can do a quick load. You can shoot both and then reload both, of course. But if you interrupt the loading animation, look, only one. 2 or fuck, too slow. 1. If you want to reload just 1, you can. Yeah, I mean, you get the idea. It's full of little things. I mean, I could sit here and talk about other aspects of MGS5 being bad if you like, since the guns seem to be covered. The game and the story, yeah, no, let's not do that. How realistic are the Playboy magazines? Yeah, quite realistic actually. As far as they could go in a game. The evolution of the porn in Metal Gear, getting more and more realistic. Until MGS4, of course. Let's see. I believe I have every gun in this save, so let me see if there's anything else that really stands out. Yeah, these are also weird guns, but... Let's take a look at the Patriot. There's so many little models of AR-15s and lowers that they came up with. It's not always easy to follow what features are accurate at which point in time and whatever they're supposed to be representing. However, see these little like ridges around the mag release? Those are supposed to be, I think the term is like caged or shielded or something. Basically protecting the mag release from being accidentally hit against something. Unfortunately, the XM16E1, which is one of the first few versions and what this is based on, did not have those. So this is technically wrong. What it did have is the forward assist being shaped like this tier shape. So they got that right, which is different from, example, if you look at the forward assist of the M4, is just circular shaped. That's the modern shape that you'll find today versus this. But this is also, there's no brass deflector, which is accurate. The brass deflector is a little piece that sticks out just on that side, just behind the bolt, to not have brass fly in your face that you see here. It's interesting because you're comparing an M4 to an extremely early model of M16, upper and lower here. Oh, it's called fencing. Okay, fair enough. But I don't know what the hell the boss was doing with no front sight. Front sight is optional for this. Yeah, we don't need it, of course. That is so very highly illegal. An AR, full auto AR pistol. I wonder what kind of gas block that is. If you wanted to build this thing. You can even see the selector on full auto there. Nice. Yeah, it's kind of shitty textures though. I don't know why. They're so low res compared to the other. Yeah, when you aim the Patriot the first couple times, you get bits from Snake Eater. Might be gone now. It's supposed to be used with one hand. Both Solid Snake and Big Boss fuck it up, completely defeating the purpose of the Patriot being small and maneuverable and used with one hand. Only the boss uses it correctly. But yeah, man, it just brings my blood to a boil when I hear people talk about MGS5 gun mechanics. You have no fucking idea the amount of details that MGS4 has that are completely gone. Let's take a look at the matchlock. They have a sped up but somewhat accurate reloading process of it. Well, we hit something. You go through the whole thing. And what this actually does in game, in certain areas, some certain wide open areas, it has like a 33% chance to summon a sort of tornado sort of thing. Divine wind, I think they call it, that sweeps all the enemies away and makes them drop items all over the place. It's just a little Easter egg item. But yeah, that's probably most of the interesting stuff.